Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik begins one of his enduring philosophical works with these words: "I will speak so that I may find relief, for there is a redemptive quality for an agitated mind in the spoken word, and a tormented soul finds peace in confessing. The nature of my dilemma can be stated in a 3-word sentence: I am lonely." His book is called Lonely Man of Faith, and I'm taking the liberty of updating concepts because they don't only apply to men and they don't only apply to those who define themselves by faith. My read on his thesis is that if you are a seeking, searching person, you will sometimes find this world to be a very lonely place. Soloveitchik grounds his teaching in the book of Genesis, which tells 2 different stories of the creation of humanity. He reads those stories as if they're 2 separate narratives altogether, one of Adam the first, he calls him, and one of Adam the second. He sees in those stories introductions to 2 types of human existence, 2 ways of being in the world. Adam the first, in this reading, is intelligent, capable, and driven to achieve. Placed in the Garden of Eden to fill the earth and conquer it, he sees a wild, messy world and wants to put it to use. How does the cosmos function, he asks, so that he can understand it and harness it for good. Adam the first's drive is what brings us science, technology, innovation, even the arts and literature, all areas of productivity. A few years back, columnist David Brooks put his own gloss on this concept. Adam the first lives to build what he calls resume virtues. Think for a moment about the adjectives you would most like to come through on your resume: smart, motivated, adept, decisive, passionate, thoughtful, creative, and so on. The mandate of Adam II, on the other hand, is to cultivate the garden and protect it. He approaches the world with humility, awe, and admiration. He wants to know why the cosmos exists. What am I doing in it? What purpose am I here to serve? He's interested in matters of the soul. In David Brooks's terms, Adam II is working all the time on what he calls eulogy virtues. Now consider the character traits you most hope people will share about you when you are not available to hear it: ethical, generous, insightful, brave, forgiving, compassionate, gracious. A major difference between the 2 Adams is their approach to relationships. Adam the first is not cold or callous, but there's a pragmatic side to relationships for him. He has read all the social science on how much more we can accomplish when we have partners and co-creators in our work. He is all in on that. Adam II longs for something deeper. He seeks redemption through relationships. It's only in the second creation account that we read, "It is not good for the human being to be alone." Soloveitchik describes the inner life of the seeker of Adam II as a wondrous, unique, and incommunicable reality. We struggle to figure out how to share that with anyone else. It's only in the existential community, he says, that we will hear not just the rhythmic sound of the production line, but the rhythmic beat of hearts starved for existential companionship. Existential companionship. I think that's one of the great Jewish projects, ensuring that we meet each other soul to soul whenever possible. Personal growth has to be just that, personal. No one else can do the work for us. But when we're on the path, we encounter others along the way, and we can share something truly extraordinary when we share the existential world of Adam II. I want to talk about 3 ways that the Jewish tradition facilitates and deepens our existential companionship. First, one of the roots of Adam II's loneliness is his tragic role as a temporal being. For all of us, that's also known as the awareness that we exist for only a brief moment in time. Our mortality is a central message of this day, and it's a difficult reality. But, says our tradition, don't limit companionship to this narrow window of time. For companions, reach into the past and into the future. Find teachers who lived long ago. Their stories are all over our texts. Find one who mastered a quality that you admire but can't quite get the hang of. Find another one who made the very same mistake you just made yesterday. Find a fading picture of your great-grandfather and a love letter he wrote. Read it like a sacred text. That's what it is. Tap into the community of existential seekers who came before you and feel the presence of those who are yet to come. Our physical lives are bound by limits in time, but our spiritual lives are not. I'll never forget the time when my oldest, Malila, was an infant. I can picture the exact spot on the couch where I was leaning back and she was asleep on my chest. You can feel it, can't you? That sweet baby breathing in and out, in and out, our chests rising and falling as one. I suddenly felt this overwhelming sense of generations. My grandmother and great-grandmother and great-great-grandmother, I'm telling you, it's like they were in the room. The two of us just took our place in line, and we felt their love and their blessing. Another moment I'll never forget was when Kara and I signed our wills. We walked from the lawyer's office into the hot Arizona courtyard, and I was surprised by this feeling of joy. I was elated to have taken care of something that I will not see manifest. I couldn't believe how good that felt. For split seconds here and there, we get to touch the future and the past. Think big, says our tradition, and think past the limits of your own lifespan. Look back and look forward. There is existential companionship waiting for you. Second, make a point of needing each other. One of my rabbis once said to me, there is great spiritual value in asking for help. And from the other side, I will tell you about the time that a new colleague moved into town in Arizona. She's very smart and very capable, and I was threatened by that, until she sent me an email asking for my help. I was disarmed in seconds, and we've been friends ever since. Sebastian Junger writes, humans don't mind hardship. In fact, they thrive on it. What they mind is not feeling necessary. Modern society has perfected the art of making people feel unnecessary. Or the words of Marge Piercy, the pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. We have this irrepressible urge to help. We have this irrepressible urge to matter. In the midst of the pandemic and last year's very tense election, an elementary school teacher in New York established a hotline called Just Scream. Mr. Golmar listened to every single one of the 120,000 calls that came in. People called in to scream and vent and sometimes sing. There were a lot of renditions of the opening line of The Lion King, but that's another story. Isn't it fascinating that all these people had a need to express something that would be witnessed by a total stranger? And then, you know what happened? People started leaving messages of hope, support, and love. You're going to be okay. Take care of yourself. You're beautiful. There was no one on the other line in need, but people couldn't help themselves. They had something they wanted to give, and they wanted to give it now. In the Talmud's words, more than the calf wants to suckle, the cow wants to nurse. That's not about physiology. That's about being valued and making a meaningful contribution. That's the reason that Judaism's mitzvot, our commandments, endure. We'll talk theology and levels of religious observance another time, but the idea is that we have serious responsibility toward others in our community. Have you ever gotten a call because you're needed as the 10th person in a minyan so that someone can say Kaddish? It's very powerful to know that someone else can't pray, someone else can't mourn unless I show up. Visiting the sick, celebrating couples getting married, burying those who have died, these are not just good ideas. I mean, they are good ideas, but in our tradition, they're also non-negotiable obligations. And when we show up, especially in these moments that are real and transformative, we can't help but forge existential companionship. And third and finally, radical acceptance of our flawed human selves. Come with me on a brief detour through the central ritual in tonight's service, Kol Nidre. The text of Kol Nidre releases us from any vows we will make between tonight and next Yom Kippur, which makes it sound like it's about making promises we don't plan to keep and letting ourselves off the hook before we even try. But that's only the surface reading. Many great writers and thinkers have wrested deeper meaning out of Kol Nidre. My favorite is a poem written by Merle Feld. The relief we seek, she says, is not from vows we make to one another. Rather, it is from the public persona we work so hard to maintain all the time. This is the one space where we can finally let down that guard. Her poem, called Kol Nidre, reads, I am grateful for this, a moment of truth, grateful to stand before you in judgment. You know me as a liar, and I am flooded with relief to have my darkest self exposed at last. Every day I break my vows to be the dutiful child, selfless parent, caring friend, responsible citizen of the world. No one sees, no one knows how often I take the easy way. I let myself off the hook, give myself the benefit of the doubt. Every day, every day. On this day, this one day, I stand before you naked, without disguise, without embellishment. I implore you, let me try again. The third strategy for existential companionship is forgiveness, which is what we're here to do. Merle Feld uses this night to acknowledge that we all have parts of ourselves we shove away into a deep, dark corner. And she's brave enough to nudge the light switch just enough to let in some light. What if God, what if those who are on the existential journey with us saw what's in there and nonetheless accepted and embraced us? That's why we put ourselves through this every year, so that even as we strive to improve, we can be seen exactly as we are, and we can be loved nonetheless. We are, all of us, lonely people of faith, or certainly lonely people in search of meaning. We are all on the road to character. We are all developing our resumes and trying to become the people we would like described in our eulogies. Let's see if we can find each other out there. Let's see if we can meet soul to soul in sacred companionship. Gmar Chatima Tova.